We would hear things like that, or, if I was bringing in my drum equipment at the time in the early shows, I had a situation where someone made a comment of like, oh, wow, your boyfriend makes you carry his gear.
Welcome, everyone, to This Was the Scene, the podcast that takes a look back at the late 90s, early 2000 punk scene. I am your host, Mike Doyle. Before we begin, if you live south of Boston or right outside of the Cape in Massachusetts, then hire my sister Melanie Ryan to help sell or find your new home. She's based out of Plymouth and kicks ass. Her website is in the show notes. Also, Piebald are playing a run of shows between December 7th through the 13th. They're heading up Detroit, Millersville, PA, Albany, New York, Hamden, Connecticut, Worcester, Massachusetts, and ending in Portland, Maine. Go to their Instagram to get more info. Avery is a pop-punk band that started in the NJ music scene in 1999. What started as just Nina on bass and Janet singing while playing drums evolved over the years. With Jess coming on as a guitarist, Janet moved up to vocals and keys, and Mike joining on drums. Over the next 10 plus years, Avery played hundreds of shows, including multiple festivals, toured nationally, and released 2 records. Their songs were also featured on multiple television shows on Nickelodeon, Disney, and MTV. The band also wrote the theme song for a commercial for Rebelle Friendship Bags. I don't know how to say that. After a 10-year hiatus, they reunited in the summer of 2019 for a series of reunion shows with fellow bands of the NJ pop-punk music scene. Though the members are split between the East and the West Coast, they will continue to play shows here and there because, as they said on their website, it was way too much fun not to do it again. So we got Janet and Nina on the Zoom, and this is what we chat about. The band Pillow changing their minds about starting a band, how they felt at shows, the origins of the name Avery, recording at Portrait Studios, their connection to Black Flag and the Misfits, breaking Marky Ramone's drum set, Nina's sparkle bass, getting songs played on Nickelodeon and Disney, how did the band end, playing their 2019 show after one practice the night before, and a ton more. Check out Janet's DJ night on Sunday, December 14th at 2:30 p.m. at Wonderville on 1186 Broadway in Brooklyn, New York. The shit starts at 2:30 p.m., which is a huge selling point, so I shared the flyer on my Instagram if you want to go check out more info. That's all I got to say, so feel free to subscribe, leave a review, and share this with anyone who would love some punk rock nostalgia. With that said, let's get started.
Well, we just reunited for the first time in, I don't know, a couple
I
of
don't
years.
know how long. I was thinking on my way here when the last time I saw
Maybe
Nina
2 years
was.
ago.
We saw each other in the city by West Village, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah,
Was
yeah.
that the last time we saw each other?
Yeah, and then you and Jess came down. We
Hmm.
went to Jess's beach house.
Oh, yeah, but I can't
That was
remember
like,
what year that was.
yeah, me either.
Well, I mean, definitely, I was going to say 2019 was a definite because you guys played.
Yep,
Yeah,
that I
that
remember.
was so fun. That was so nice.
Why's it been a couple of years? Just life with you guys?
I guess
Yeah, just
life,
life. Janet's in the city, I'm
location.
at the
Yeah.
shore, and when I'm in the city, I reach out to her. We're usually like 2 ships in the night when
Hmm.
we stay in touch here and there. It's just with kids and life, and it just before you know it, like 2 years pass and you don't even realize it.
Yeah. So this was actually a very nice excuse for me to
Yeah.
drive down here with Nina in her lovely home. It's like so beautifully decorated. It's very Nina and gorgeous. It's nice. It's a nice excuse to get together.
And it's one of those friendships that like you just pick right up where you left off. Janet's
Mhm.
like my
That's
oldest
right.
friend. I had my first all-nighter at a sleepover, and what grade was that at Jessica Ubinur's house?
Oh gosh.
And we walked to the pharmacy to get penny
Oh
candy.
my goodness. Yeah. I don't know, like six, was I in sixth, seventh
Yeah, it was in
grade?
elementary school.
Sixth grade, and we roller
We
skated to the next town. Was that
we
much
just go to
sure?
the same elementary school, so we met through
Yeah,
like family
another
friend.
friend. Oh yeah, oh yeah.
And that's
I
actually
was
the same person's house that I met Mike Ford, who was the person that took me to my first show at the Wayne
Yeah.
Firehouse and helped me pick out my
He
first
was a
bass and
bass
stuff.
player,
Yeah.
right?
What town did you guys grow up in?
Madison?
Madison, New Jersey. You lived on Maple Ave, and I lived
Yeah.
on Longview.
Yeah. What we were maybe like half a mile apart, and there was like a train station between us and this like
Mhm.
giant tree. And I remember when Chris Delvecchio told us he was leaving the band, and we met there and cried.
Oh my God,
It was
it's
close enough to walk to each other's houses, and then skateboarding it got faster when we were skateboarding.
Our tears seeped into the soil when we left our mark on that town.
For some reason, I thought you guys grew up in the down the shore because Nina, you've been down there forever.
Yeah, I've been down here a long time. I came down here for
Yeah.
college, but I was up in Madison until then.
Yeah, we played a lot down the shore. I
Yeah.
went to school at Rutgers, so and then Nina was at Monmouth, and we
Well,
played a
I
lot
went to
down
Monmouth
here.
because we played down here so much. And I
Oh,
was like, well, I was pretty sure that going to college was a backup plan for being a musician.
star, of
So
course.
like might as well just do what's convenient for the band.
Yeah.
All right, so let's start off with you going to, because I was asked like how you got involved in the scene. So it sounds like going to Wayne Firehouse for Nina was your introduction.
Yeah, that was the first time I ever went to a show and it completely like that was it. I went to that one show and I'm like this is going to be my whole life now. And
Hmm.
it was. And then we were in high school together. Janet was a freshman, I was a sophomore. We weren't like friends in school yet, I think. We like met
Yeah.
at shows more. And
Hmm.
then we started going to shows every weekend
Together, yeah.
together with in Ben Lindman's van. He had
Oh,
that big
yeah.
chair in the back. So we
That was
started going
great.
to shows all the time. It was
Well,
amazing.
what was the show you went to? The first one.
The first one, it was your brother's show, actually. It was Turnstile,
Oh,
right? Was that his
was that
at the Wayne
the
Firehouse in the
oh,
back room? I
oh
think that's,
gosh,
I'm pretty sure that it was like three people in the band.
probably
Ben was playing, wasn't it
sounds
Ben,
about right.
Drew, and Evan? Your brother,
I'm not
was
gonna
it?
say no. Some of my
Okay.
memories are spotty, and yeah, that sounds about right. Yeah, that's probably some of our early shows. I mean, I remember going to Skaters World at one
Hmm.
point.
I think we went to the most shows besides the Wayne Firehouse. We
Mhm.
went to in
Summit,
Summit,
Christchurch.
Christchurch.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, we went to a lot of shows there because I was pretty close to our hometown.
Yeah. And like all the bands were just guys. And it never occurred to me that like we could be
Yeah.
in a band until that band Pillow
Oh
played.
yeah, I was just gonna
And
say
do you remember
we
that?
saw Christina,
Yeah.
right, the lead singer, and we're like, wait a second, that really tipped the
Yeah.
balance.
We had it didn't even cross our minds. We were just people that went to shows and then we are like, wait, we could
Yeah,
just be in a band.
yeah,
So then we decided to start a band.
yeah.
Janet has always been very musical. She played the tuba at the
I
time.
played the tuba. That
And
was
the
how I was
flute.
writing songs on the tuba. Um,
And I didn't play
mhm.
anything. I
Yeah.
was not musical, still don't consider myself musical.
Well,
We were like, all right, well, what should we
yeah.
play? And you had a drum set in your
Yeah.
basement,
I
right?
was writing songs on the piano. I played piano growing up, and I had a few songs on piano, but I don't know if we ever did piano and bass in the beginning. I think we might have gone straight from bass and drums because I played drums since I was 11.
Yeah,
So
so she
so
actually
I
was
had like
good.
no, I mean
Or
I was a child. We have some of our first shows recorded, and the best was our first ever show was at East Hanover
it was at like
Church,
high school
VFW.
gym or
Okay.
something. Or I don't know.
Mike, do you know of any East Hanover
East?
pop?
No.
I
I have the flyers up from the NJPP archives.
It was March 31st, 1999 or
Oh my
2001.
gosh. Yeah, maybe 2001 or
Yeah, I think
something.
we started playing in our
Yeah.
basement in 99 and then started playing shows in
Yeah.
01. But before that,
Yeah.
that first show, we actually had a guitar player. But before that
Hmm. Hmm.
happened, it
Oh,
was just me and Janet. I was on bass, Janet was on drums and singing, and
yeah.
we were kind of trying to write songs. We
Yep.
had about two or three, and we
Yep.
would go to shows
Uh-huh.
and we would ask the bands that were on the bill if we could go on stage and play our three
Yeah,
songs on their equipment. And
we did
that's
that.
actually where we met Chris Vecchio, because Humble Beginnings was kind enough to let us go on and play our songs as bass and drums.
I was in Short Hills, Christchurch. But actually, even before
Oh, we
that,
had Dana
Nina,
before that.
well, we had Dana, but when Nina and I were just writing songs, just the two of us, my favorite memories of Avery, the band, where we never even recorded these songs. Nina and I would go to shows, and anyone who would listen, we would say, "Hey, we're starting a band, and we've got these songs," and we'd tell them to come out to the parking lot, not sketchy at all, and we would sing a cappella, no instruments. We had a song called kick him to the curb.
Bees in winter.
Bees in winter, because like we would write about, things that were going on. I used to get stung by bees at soccer practice, and it was winter time. So anything that was going on. We also wanted to interject more of like the female voice into the conversation. We're listening to a lot of, songs about breaking up with girls and things like that. And like, we wrote Kick 'em to the Curb. We wrote
Yeah.
all these songs that never made it to any recordings, for better or worse. We
Yeah,
don't know, probably for the best, but they were inspired, we'll say. They were very inspired, but those were my favorite memories. I feel like Nina was probably more outgoing than I was but it really helped like push me, and we got excited. We were excited to bring those songs out and say like, hey, we're doing something now. But it wasn't until probably, as Nina just mentioned, that show where we went on stage with our actual instruments to anyone who would let us take over and play. And we
we
did
really put
that there.
ourselves out there from the second we started, way
Yeah,
before we were ready, but
yeah.
we weren't
That's what I
embarrassed about it. We were
yeah.
just shameless, like
That's what I love about that like youthful mentality of
yeah,
like, yeah, we put the cart before the horse.
yeah.
We're just like anyone who will listen.
Wait, how old are you guys again at this point?
15, 16.
Yeah, we couldn't, we were like, our parents were driving us to shows.
Yeah.
So when you guys start going to like the Wayne Firehouse, this is the time where the main room would be packed because they have like Newfound Glory and then like At the Drive-In was playing. In the beginning, I don't know, I just want to get like your perspective. Did you feel I thought there was a good balance of guys and girls that went there, but what did you think?
It was definitely like a guy-oriented culture and community, definitely for the bands. I think the audience was more mixed though.
Yeah, I meant more for the audience. The bands that played were mostly guys, but the audience I felt was like was a decent mix. I don't know.
Yeah. I think
It
the audience
was.
was for sure.
Yeah, and I always felt really safe at shows and really comfortable, and everyone was so nice. Someone would have to tie their shoe and like everyone would get involved with like
Yeah.
protecting
Clear
them.
clear the way
Yeah.
in the pit or
Yeah.
whatever.
Did you guys? I don't know. This is probably a stupid question, but we started going to shows, and my buddy Bob gave me his Vans, and I was like, oh my God, I found my fashion, and going and getting Jinkos and shit like that. Did going to show? I don't know. Did you guys have the same thing? It seems like a stupid question, but I just figured I'd just ask it. But I don't know. Did you like kind of morph into what the style was at shows, or
Yeah,
Yeah, it
definitely.
went from big pants. Nina and I also skateboarded in high school, so we
Yeah.
were we were the like skater crew. I mean, we
Yeah.
became that way like just based on,
It was
you
like
know,
the music
culture.
and the
Mhm.
yeah,
The
music
music,
and the
the culture.
skateboarding.
And but then, when emo came out, that then our pants got smaller. Like, we
Yeah.
we cuffed the jeans and wore
Hmm.
black.
Studded
Yeah.
belts.
Black studded belts. We had a lot of pins, patches on shoulder bags or
Yeah.
whatever. And
And we spent a lot of time at CD Express.
yep, CD Express
Right there.
Madison. I think we kind of tried things out. Like Nina and I were just reminiscing of the time when she glued my hair into spikes. And I have really long hair. I mean, I did then and I do now, but
I had to
we
tie
had
the tip of the spike
to the
to the
wall
highlight handle.
just to dry them, and I think that was what's really fun about the culture at that time, the music culture, because and the age we were at, we were kind of, finding ourselves and
Yeah.
seeing, what kind of stuck with us and
Yeah, and we were just talking about how at that age, to other people, you're just kind of like these idiot kids, who aren't capable of anything. But then you go into this music scene, and it's like the kids are booking the shows, the kids are making merch, the kids are handing out flyers. Like
yeah,
everyone was like these mini entrepreneurs. And I feel like
right.
all of us who came out of that still kind of have that in
Hmm.
us, like
Yeah,
we were booking tours across the country in high school. We were
yeah.
recording records in high school instead of going to parties and stuff. And it just was like such a unique community. And I feel really lucky that we got to be a part of it.
I think about that a lot. I wonder if it's the same for other people, like, because we all had to go to school, but then outside of that, it felt like it really expanded my life in a lot of ways from the people the connections. Like,
Mhm.
I was fortunate that Nina was like actually at my school. We were in different grades, but we would pass notes to each other. We were always staying connected. We would practice music after school
Every single day.
like every single day. And then when Avery started picking up, we had shows all the time. And I just felt really lucky that I was able to have that kind of experience in
Yeah,
school.
our world was so much bigger than what it was in high school.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't like if you didn't have a lot of friends in high school, but you go on the weekends and you know everyone at shows and you're building something with your life. We were such dreamers with Avery.
Yeah.
We just imagined the whole
Yeah.
thing. Like we're gonna,
We'd sketch it out in notebooks
yeah.
down to like stick figures of potential boyfriends that we could.
All kinds of like stick figures best on
With-
stage and huge crowds and
Yeah, we were dreamers, so that was really nice to be in it together.
So how did you? Because I read that, and you mentioned too, like you were playing drums and singing, and Nina was playing bass at the very very beginning, right?
Yeah.
And then Mike came in the picture, or Jess? Which one came in? How the band like? You're like, all right, now we actually have a
Revolve.
band going.
yeah, so we had
How do
we had
we
Dana.
Yeah, Dana was the first guitarist. So she was at our first show. Nina, did you meet her at Guitar Center? Or no,
That was Jess.
Jess.
I met
But
Jess at Guitar Center.
but
How we met
did
Dana.
we put out
We put an
a
ad out
personal
somewhere.
ad? And I
Yeah,
don't
we
even
put
know
an
where
ad
we
out
would have done
somewhere.
that. There wasn't Craigslist then.
And
So
she was cool. And we had like maybe two practices.
two
And
practices.
that's where we had our first show in East Hanover that Janet was mentioning. And
Yeah.
we had three songs. And I remember you fell
Even
off the
winter.
stage drumming.
You fell off the stage.
Yeah, her throne fell off the riser. She literally did not skip one beat.
No,
She like just
it
pulled
was
herself
very
back up
scary.
and kept going. I have it on video actually.
That's hilarious.
Oh, please send that so I can post that when this.
We debuted some of the early songs that never made it onto any recordings, but that we were a three-piece then, and
Video is special because
yeah,
people made their own like Avery shirts, and it was like the first
Yeah.
time like we had just come up with a name for the band. Actually, the little girl Avery, who we
oh yeah,
was at that show.
maybe talk about the origins of the name because I think
Yeah, Jen and I, we did some like volunteering stuff when we were younger, and there was this girl that we tutored. Her name was Avery, and she was so cool. She was like, "I think it should be called Womankind and not
yeah,
Mankind."
why is it called Mankind? I was
It's
like, yeah,
the
good
90s,
question.
Like she was so ahead of her time. And Avery was like, not, it's such a popular name now. It was a name we had never heard of, and we thought it was great. And we were really actually trying to come up with a name at that time.
Yeah,
So we went
Yeah.
with Avery, and yeah, we played that show, and
She was there.
She
Avery
was
was
there,
there.
and like
Mhm.
everyone from our like a lot of people from our high school were there, and then just from the music scene came, and it was like because we were kind of playing these unofficial show up at other people's shows for a little while, and then
We
this was
did-
our first like we were on the flyer this time.
Yeah,
kind of
we were
show.
finally on the bill, $5 maybe
Yeah.
cover.
And I think that was the only show we ever played with Dana. I don't know if
That
it
was the only show we
again.
played with Dana, and I don't remember, yeah, all the circumstances and how. Who do we get next for
Okay,
drums?
then we had great. So
Didn't you have
then
Joe Vecchio?
Chris
He might have
Vecchio
been what
was our first real
drummer.
like no guitarist, right?
Oh yeah,
Chris
he
was our
played.
guitarist, and then Adam was
Okay,
our drummer.
yes, Chris played guitar, and I was still on drums.
Yeah.
Adam was our first
Yeah.
drum.
So Chris Vecchio, who's a drummer, played right. Wasn't he the drummer
Yeah.
in Humble?
He was the drummer in
Yeah.
Humble, but he played guitar.
Played guitar for us, and so that was like we recorded together with that setup, right?
Yes,
With our
we
first
did.
demo in Belmar with Marky.
Marky and Belmar recorded our first demo where I'm playing drums.
Mhm.
We went on to re-record the song,
the crack track?
Missing You. Missing You, and what was the
All screamed out.
and All Screamed Out. Those two, right?
Yeah.
We did those two. I don't know where the demo is to this day. If anybody has
I
that,
think it's actually on there. I feel like it's in an
Like the
archive.
early
I feel like I've
ones.
seen the early
What's the name of this song?
Missing You
Missing
and All Screamed Out. But
and All Screamed Out,
we put
but
it on
not
an EP later.
not the versions we recorded at Portrait because we went to them later and that was on the All Screamed Out EP. But prior to that, we had a demo, and I think actually those two songs or one of the songs made onto a compilation.
Oh,
Do you think
I
so?
don't know. Maybe. Yeah, I
Like-
vaguely remember that. But that
And
that
that-
also helped us to get. Okay, well, I won't
Hmm.
get into small records yet because that was a little bit after. But
Yeah.
so we were right. So we were playing the three of us with Chris,
Hmm.
and then it made started to make more sense. I don't know when you moved up, but we were like, all right, Janet is so good at
Yeah.
keyboards. She's such a good front woman. So we moved her out up from drums to keys
I
and
think
vocals, and got Adam Bird.
he lived down the street from Crystal Vecchio, and I
Okay,
think that that's maybe how that configuration came to be. Does
yeah,
that sound right? Yeah, they lived on the same street in
okay,
Montclair, or
Little
no, Little
Falls.
Falls,
Yeah.
Little
Hmm.
Falls. And then Adam started playing drums, and I moved to keyboards, and yeah, was singing sometimes, and
And that began our our Spinal Tap, never ending quest for a
for
drummer. We had so many drummers. I mean, we
yeah,
had Dana and then Chris before Jess. But
yeah,
then once we had Jess, she was it. Like
yeah,
Jess
she
was
was
like
it for
the
us.
what we've always been missing as a guitarist. We met her at Guitar Center,
Yeah,
and
Nina met her.
yeah,
And she said, I had to tell you, I was at Guitar Center and this girl, you're gonna love her. And pretty immediately after that, we started practicing with Jess, right?
yeah.
She came on board.
Mike was our drummer for the
Yep,
longest
yeah.
time. Mike
And
always
Steve Jaworski also
Oh,
we
Steve.
skipped
Yeah.
over, but
Yeah.
so he was our guitarist when he signed us to Small Records.
Yeah. So Monkey saw us play at Birch Hill and told Steve about us, and then reached out and then signed us. And that was such an exciting time when we
That
went
was
into Portrait
exciting.
and recorded our first EP, like for real.
Because also like we had spent years going to shows and like
Mhm.
listening to LWL
Yeah.
and it was like if like someone you really look up to
Yeah.
took interest in the music you were making, and that was a really big deal
It
for
was so
us.
exciting. He built us a website. Like it was when things started to kind of feel like, oh, it's not just us like hustling all the time on our own and not really getting anywhere. Like we actually have
Yeah,
support, like
yeah,
those were such good years, and everyone was so nice, and everyone hung out at Steve's house all the time. That was like
yeah.
our hub, and we'd
That
practice in the
was
basement.
that was when it started feeling more like a family, like an extended family, and again, we were still in high school, so it was very cool to like have just this outside
Yeah.
group of people and really fun like shows to look forward to, recording to
Hmm.
look forward to. Like we did that All Screamed Out EP at Portrait pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Like that, I don't know if we recorded it. Oh, I'd have to ask Chris Vadami or
Well, it says that it released in 2003 and you guys started in 99. So that's like a 4 year that's a 4 year space of you guys growing the band, but also you're in high school at the time, so it's not like you can freshman year get in a van and just start touring.
We did. I
we
mean, we
did
did
tour
use
a little
did
bit.
tour
Hmm.
back then. We would tour like mostly up to like Connecticut, Massachusetts, Vermont, like,
Yeah.
just the Northeast. And that's when Steve was in the band.
Mike, I don't know exactly how we found Mike for drums, but he came on. I think his first time playing with us was for the All Screamed Out EP. We hadn't played with him before that. He came on, and I don't think he had played through the songs really before then, so that was pretty phenomenal.
Mike was the best. I feel like once it was like me and you and Jess and Mike, that
Mm-hmm.
felt like the most Avery version of us.
Yeah,
Was he the one that played the reunion show in 2019?
he
Yeah,
did.
he flew out
Yeah.
from California.
Yeah, he's out west, but he came for those two shows. It's actually music is so amazing because I was thinking about this recently when we did end up doing those shows, which was kind of a surprise to us. I don't it just
Yeah.
like kind of came up as a thing, and I was like, oh no, how am I gonna remember these songs? But when I was going through them to review them, I'm like, oh wow, it's like it really was like getting on a bicycle.
It was funny when you guys came to the 2018 show at Debonair. I remember seeing the two together, and I like something. I don't know. Just when I saw something about like the looks in your faces, like I was like, I bet they're gonna do a show. They're just like, I could see you both were like, or I could see like Nina was like, I really want to fucking do this. I don't know. I felt that at that time.
Well, it was fun like
Yeah,
seeing everyone, like all you guys on stage and getting to relive that and just like go back in time. I mean, that
yeah,
show was so fun because
that
it
was fun.
it really just felt like you look around the crowd and it was like the same faces that we saw looking around the crowd for years when we were
Yeah.
young.
Steve, I interviewed him years ago. So he was in LWL, then he was in Jettison, but he had this label called Small Records. I never thought about this until now. He kind of became the next part of pinball. I feel like it's like pinball stopped, and then I feel like Steve kind of took I don't know, the baton and did the small records thing, like kind of like after the fact. Also, that crowd down there where Steve lived, the Basking Ridge and Berkeley, not Berkeley Hills, like Basking Ridge,
Bernardsville.
Yeah.
Burnsville, yeah, like the Duncan crowd. I feel like all those guys, that whole crowd was just so nice. Is that like the crowd that you guys got involved in?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that was like,
Dan Penn's.
yeah.
Yeah, it was.
Oh man, I have really nice memories of
Yeah, they were
that
good to
crew.
us, and they all like because it was such a mixed bag of like being girls in a very
Yeah.
guy-oriented
Yeah.
community. We had such mixed experiences throughout the years, but it was really special like being in this family that they like respected us and they treated us
Yeah.
just like musicians, like all the other bands on the label, and no one was like creepy to us, and
Yeah,
like they
exactly.
were kind of like big brothers in a way. They were all really good to us.
When you actually signed to Small Records, did you sign something? Like, how did that go down?
Probably.
I think so. I feel like Steve was like so laid
Probably
back.
did.
Oh,
But
maybe we did. Oh, yeah. Actually,
I
no,
think there were I think there were like some sort of contracts.
I think you're right,
I don't
actually.
have records of these, but I know at
What
the
was in
time.
that contract, I wonder?
Yeah, never came back up. I guess things, we were all still very young at the time,
But
so
he paid for you guys to record.
he did. He
Yeah.
did. Yep, he funded the All Screamed Out album.
So did you guys want to go to Portrait?
Honestly, I can't remember the decision about that. It almost just seemed like
That was just where
that was,
people
yeah,
were.
where we were,
Like,
where, yeah, a lot of the people we hung out with had gone there to
mhm.
record. So,
We were
uh,
honored. We were so
yeah, we
excited
were
to get
really
to record
excited.
there. And it was such a great experience.
It really was. It was a great experience. I feel like for me, like that was the first real, like, well, we had recorded at a home studio, but this was the first time we were in like an actual like
I,
facility, like a
yeah,
studio where, you go have your coffee break in the other room and like, it just
sound
as
booths.
as teenagers, like it felt really exciting to like, put the songs under a microscope and like fine tune them in like such great detail from all the harmonies and
And have
just
like a producer like actually be like, all right, well,
yeah.
what if it comes out of this speaker and then that
Yeah,
speaker and it just like
panning
comes to
it.
life in such a new
Yeah.
way? You're like, this is us.
Yeah.
And I'll never forget watching
Mm.
you recording vocals for the first time. I love watching Janet record because I remember you were like crying.
Probably. I mean, when wasn't I crying in my
It's like
teenage years?
your lyrics are like really like she's such a writer, it's not just like putting words to music, although I think you did write some of them on the draft for
Probably.
Banana.
Yeah,
Um,
sometimes I would do things
but
last minute, but a lot of them, some of them came from like my
your diary,
journals,
right?
my straight up diary. Like this is the entry, and then I try to like make it sound,
But you were so connected to like what you were saying and like the emotion really came through and it's like powerful to watch. I love watching you in
That's
there.
nice.
Well, what were you writing about?
I guess like, I mean, when you're young and you have like all these like hormones ablazing, you want to like have your say. Like, I don't know, it felt really a release and a relief for me to be able to write about my day-to-day experiences. I mean, they weren't anything like
I mean, we were pretty
nothing.
boy crazy.
We
I
were,
think.
Nina said it correctly. Yeah, we were kind of boy crazy and,
We didn't have
I
like
mean,
a lot of interactions romantically with guys, but we
we thought
we
about,
dreamed
oh my
about it. We talked
God.
about it a lot. We,
We drew
sang a
about
lot.
it. We drew pictures about
There were
stick figure.
most of the songs were about having crushes and
Relationships gone awry as they tend to do
when you're
they're like
16.
16 years old. And at the time, though, it was like the most important stuff in my world. And also, like, it felt really important to like interject a female voice into the discussion of relationships as a teen and, into the music scene.
So I had like a question before because you had mentioned you're going to the show and all these guys are singing these songs about girls and you're like, oh, we want something to say, or like that girl Avery, said womankind. When I listen to songs from back then, now being in my 40s and being pretty self-aware, when guys would say like some really awful shit at the time, I'm like, yeah, yeah, yeah. Then now I'm kind of like, Ooh, man, it's a little it's just two people making a decision and it just didn't work out. And it's like all the guys' songs were just bashing, not all of them, but the ones about relationships would be either really good or mostly it'd be like kind of bashing the relationship and like you broke my heart. When you guys saw that and kind of came from the other side, like what were your thoughts when you'd listen to those lyrics and you're kind of like, like I can understand, or were you kind of like, which did you agree with the lyrics that were coming out?
Guess it depends. I feel like when the emo movement came out, I kind of just saw myself as like a female version of the person who's emoting about a relationship, like an unrequited love or something. I could actually really relate to certain emotions. I mean, I don't think it's ever okay to be like bashing people in songs. I certainly didn't try to do that. I might,
Well,
Nina is making a face. I
Go
certainly
on.
did not ever try to do that, but I'm sure there was a little bit of vindictive rebellion, something in me. I had a fire in me, but I never wanted to make it, never would want to hurt anybody directly. But
yeah.
I think I really resonated with songs that were just about just really strong emotion about, like Saves the Day I loved and Dashboard when
Mhm.
Dashboard came out and Midtown, I mean, like
We
I was
loved all those
yeah,
songs.
we loved and I think what was cool about Avery's songs is like they were not in opposition. They were really trying to be part of that too.
Because we
Like,
didn't see ourselves as different. We felt like we were just another band. I know people didn't, it wasn't mutual, but we just felt like we were one of the guys, kind of.
What do you mean and it wasn't mutual?
Well, I think that to other people, we stuck out because there weren't very many bands with girls in them at the
No,
time.
definitely not.
We saw ourselves as one of the guys, but I don't know. And I
yeah,
think the guys that like we hung out with on Small Records saw us as one of the guys, but I think like at a show, when we're on a bill with all guys, like
yeah.
we stick out.
We
I don't think
stuck
we
out. Yeah, we had different experiences too than our male counterparts, I think,
Yeah, like we were
Um,
just talking about one time we were playing Starland Ballroom and we were loading in and they were like, okay, only the band can come in. And we're like, yeah, we're the band, we're just loading in our stuff. And they're like, no, not the girlfriends of the band, only the band, you guys have to leave. And we're like, no,
yeah.
this is, we are the band, we
Right.
promise.
And we would hear things like that, or, if I was bringing in my drum equipment at the time in the early shows, I had a situation where someone made a comment of like, "Oh, wow, your boyfriend makes you carry his gear." That's like, so we dealt with that a
Mhm.
lot of feeling that things were not always balanced, and that I think that actually just fueled the fire a bit more. Like, this just means we need to keep making sure that we help with the representation just a little bit because Nina and I talked about before, we saw Pillow play at Christ Church.
Mhm.
Remember
Yeah.
Kelly played in Stillwell. Like there were some females in bands that we would look at and like it just felt like the more women we can get up on this stage and the more people involved, I think that would be
Yeah, and I
that
think we
was
also evolved in
mhm.
embracing it more. Like in the beginning, I kind of felt like we wanted to blend in with the guys more and we kind of dressed like that. And then
Yeah.
at some point we started wearing like skirts on stage and like just being
Yeah.
like, whoa, we're not guys.
Yeah. Whoa, we're not guys. What happened? What we've been doing for the past few years.
Yeah, like
Yeah, it was some wires were I mean, it just was like trying to find our own
place. And
place, our
yeah, that
own
didn't already
voice.
exist in the scene really.
Real quick, if you're needing an explainer video, that's what I do for a living. My company is drive80.com. You can email me at mike@drive80.com for some samples and pricing. Industries that I've created explainer animations for over the last 14 years are tech, software, medical, pharma, recruiting, nonprofits, accounting, ed tech, and more. That's all I'm going to say. So now back to the show.
Yeah, so that I thought that was important.
What
Yeah.
bands are in that time were you guys pulling from for as like inspiration? I'm not saying this as women, it could just be across the board. Like, who were you looking at around early 2000 where you're like, oh, I get inspiration from this and pull little pieces from here and here and here.
I remember listening to Newfound Glory in the hallway at school on my Walkman, and I was like, because their songs were so catchy, and I would like listen to songs that like had such good hooks and would pull me in, and I would literally sit there with a timer and say like 30 seconds in, they have a bridge, and then they have a chorus, and I was trying to like reverse engineer these like really catchy songs to just learn, like as a non-musician, like, well, how do we write songs like this? How can we write catchy songs? And so I think like the more poppy, catchy songs at that time were more appealing to me. But it was also like, I feel like so much of the scene like wasn't, it was all centered around music, but when we saw some of the reunion shows recently, like I don't even remember, like even like some Lane Meyer songs at that show. I'm like, I feel like I don't remember this song at all, even though we were at so many shows, but I think we were like hanging out, you know, it was like the whole environment was an experience that I don't know if I was paying as much attention to the music as I would like to think I was.
When I think back on the influences of Avery, like I think they were just a lot of the bands in the scene were the influences for the songs. And like Nina mentioned, Newfound Glory, or I grew up listening to Green Day from an early age. I loved Green Day, and they were a three-piece, and oh my God, they made it so powerful. You know, but then I also am a kid of the 90s. Like I grew up listening to Alanis Morissette, Fiona Apple. I grew up listening to Nirvana, like a lot of the early 90s bands. So there was like the 90s influence, and then what was going on in the time. I think the songs for Avery were really inspired to like be a part of the local scene conversation. That was something that felt relevant.
And then we also had this fun little background that our very dear friend from our town, Kyle, his uncle is Des Cadena from Black Flag, and he was playing with the Misfits at the time. So Marky Ramone would be over there playing drums, Des would be on guitar, Jerry Only was there, and like I remember Des like teaching us how to play. Like he was teaching me Black Flag songs before I had any idea who they even were. Songs on bass, and they would like spin records for us and introduce us like, oh, this is Rachel Sweet. They actually had a good influence on us back then. And it was funny because, you know, they'd bring us to their shows, and, you know, we'd go to the Misfits shows and see them with their, you know, what do they call it? Deadlock or
what is that called? The point.
Oh yeah, I think with that right in front of the face.
Yeah.
Like we had the family pool party the next weekend, and their hair is like permed and bald.
Yeah, that was that was also very influential. Yeah, we actually learned about a lot of musicians through Kyle Cadena's family. Rachel Sweet is a really cool artist. She had some stuff that was kind of like punky in her earlier stuff, and then and
so that was like a nice like just injection of something different that we weren't
different influences.
Yeah. And that was fun too, being close with them, because I remember going to a Thursday show that the Misfits were playing, and we went and met Thursday for the first time, and we were fans at the time, and we were kind of like, oh my gosh, we're so excited to meet you. And, you know, we're like, oh, we're here with the Misfits. And they're like, oh my God, can you introduce us? And so we brought them backstage to like meet the Misfits, and they were like total fanboys of the Misfits the way we were fangirling over them. And it was, that was really fun.
Yeah.
Do you guys know Zaria? She has a tattoo shop in North Jersey. Her brother is actually he plays bass, or he played bass in the Misfits. Name's Graham. Did you ever meet him?
Oh no, I don't know if we met him.
No.
Okay. I just like it just like one little. I think it was probably later on in 2000. I was just wondering if there was like crossing paths.
Yeah, it was Jerry, Doyle, Mark,
Robo.
Robo.
Yeah.
And there was a time that we went to their practice space, and you broke Marky Ramone's drum set when we were practicing, and then
Wait, what?
Well, I mean, the details are fuzzy because it's been a while. It was probably like a piece of hardware, like a clutch or something. I don't know, something happened.
Yeah, we were all right. So they have a warehouse in Vernon, I think, where they keep all of their like stage props. And
So like
which there was a
factory.
lot of it was some industrial building. They have like, you know, all their equipment set up there. So we were playing songs, and something broke on Marky's drum set, but then the power went out.
Oh yeah.
And then we were just surrounded by these giant skulls and
Like
bones.
like stage props from the set. Oh wow,
This was terrifying.
weird situation. Gosh, when we were young, we were still in high school then, I
Yeah.
think.
And he
Yeah.
would, Des would come on stage and play with us. We had this like great recording with him doing like a gnarly solo on one of our songs. I wish that tape didn't break, but
Oh yeah.
yeah. So that was a fun,
Mhm.
unexpected Avery influence
Yeah, no,
today.
that is. I'm glad you brought that up, Nina, because
I have a random question for Nina. What's the story behind the glitter bass
oh,
or the sparkle bass? I would like I just that always stood out to me because you
Had
when you
to
play
have
it.
one. I don't know. All the bases at Guitar Center or wherever I was looking at the time were so boring. And I guess that was part of my like embracing that I wasn't just one of the guys for that
yeah,
period of time. And I just really, really wanted a sparkly bass. And there's a company out of California called Carvin, and they made a custom bass for me. And I
yeah.
got it on my 17th birthday. And I still have it. Still the bass I play. It's right over there.
It's beautiful. It's beautiful. I'm looking at it right now, and nice little collection of instruments.
So after you do the portrait release, that's in 2003. And I mean, I ask this all the time in interviews when the scene shifts and goes into the new style that it was in the early 2000s. What were your thoughts on that when it was changing over? Did you notice it, or did you just kind of like just like I said, roll with it because you were just young enough, just be like, oh, we're just kind of going with the wave here.
I yeah, I
I
think we noticed it, and we were try I mean, I think we wanted to develop and grow. Like I think that was always sort of the plan for Avery. Anything new was kind of more inspiration to do we want to go this way or do we not want to go in this direction? I mean, I'm trying to think of the some of the bands at the time that you're referring to.
Brand new, Take Back Sunday, all the drive-through bands that were fucking getting shit out left and right. Like,
Yeah, I
We
think we
really
really
desperately wanted to be a
wanted.
drive-through band.
Yeah, I think we wanted to be competitive. So whatever that meant, we wanted to connect with the music, but also the more if we could, if we could use some of the sounds or make ourselves fit into that genre in some way. I think at least like I saw it as we could maybe hit a wider audience.
Yeah, I don't think we like
But
changed our sound to try to go along with it more. I think we already kind of had that in a way. Like that
yeah.
was already what we were drawn to and what we were playing and writing. But we were so focused on like we just wanted to be not like a famous band, just like be able to tour and be on a bigger label and to do this for real. And we were
Hmm.
so passionate. So we were just like in our own world trying to make it
Yeah.
happen. And to get to that next level requires touring, requires label
Hmm.
support. There was more that went into it as we were getting older and like not just wanting to play at like churches and VFW halls, but we did all of it on our own. There wasn't someone to book a tour for us. Everyone's like, well, if you want to get signed, you have to tour. Well, you need to have help booking a tour, and we didn't. So we
Nina was
just,
very good at booking, though. I think that was one thing about Avery that behind the scenes, like Nina was doing a lot of the booking for the tours. So I don't think we would have played as much or put ourselves out there as much if it wasn't for her skill set.
did all of you guys want to become bigger, or was there like any divide between someone being like, I really don't want to tour that much?
I think we
we all
all
did. And
we all stayed in college very close. Like we
mhm,
really we
we play
really
shows
tried.
every weekend
We
still.
play shows no matter what. I think we all had that drive to just keep going with it because it seemed like things were going well. Like
Yeah.
things worked out for us. We were young kids and like we one of our bigger moments was after All Screamed Out came out. We had some interest from
Oh,
Nickelodeon and
yeah.
Disney
We
and
had our songs played on some
we
shows.
had our
Wait, what? I didn't know this.
songs
Yeah.
played on some shows and
Mhm.
we were able to make a little bit of money. Actually, that money went to fund the second record that
Yep.
Avery did. And it went to fund some of the touring. So we
Yeah.
realized like we're just kids, but like we did
It
need the
felt like it was
financial
starting to
backing
happen.
to be able to do the things that we
And
were
I feel
doing.
really proud of how much we did with completely on our own because booking a tour back then, pre-internet, was crazy. Like it was,
Yeah.
I mean, I would spend like months and months and
Hmm.
hundreds of phone calls just calling every place I could find. I would go to Borders, that old bookstore, and like, I couldn't afford to buy the magazines, but some of the magazines would have like a directory in the back that would have like a list of venues or a list of
Hmm.
agents. And I would just sit there with a notepad and just write them all down for hours, and just call and call and call. And, but there was no better feeling in the entire world than when someone said okay, and like you start to have the route forming and you get a couple yeses, then you got to fill in these dates. And then before you know it, you have a tour, and touring was the best. It was like,
How many tours did you guys do actually?
we mostly did smaller ones when because we were still in high school, and we did a couple of those. And then the longest one, we did one across the country. In the later years.
With Status Green. Was
Who's
it
that?
called?
Status Green.
They just did a reunion show at the Stone Pony.
Yeah.
On Friday, 20-year reunion or something. But yeah, we booked the tour, and then we didn't have a van. That was always our big problem.
Yeah.
It's like the deal with them was like we'd use their van, they would play with us, and they could hop on the tour. So but that was fun. That was like our longest tour. We went all the way, played all the way down to Florida and out to Louisiana and Texas.
We played the Whiskey A Go-Go in Los Angeles.
That's right.
We played Vegas when we were still young, that was.
And
Wait, how old were you guys? Sorry to cut you off.
Were we 21 yet? Or I was in college by this point.
Yeah, we obviously aren't going to draw people. We're a small band, and we're just asking as a favor, like, can we play? And we just had to like hustle selling merch. We did really well with merch sales. We would just go up to people and be like, do you want to buy a CD? Do you want to buy a CD? We need to get to the next show. But we would just kind of like take what we could get. So some of the shows were really small. Some of them were amazing. Like we played one in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, and there was like a local band that sold the place out. It was such a great show. It was so fun. They were so nice, and they gave us the entire door, which funded like the next, got us to like Texas or wherever.
Yeah. People were very welcoming, I found, when we left our home base.
What were you guys like on tour?
Well, like, best friends. It's like getting to travel with your friends, and like you don't have to think of like, oh, how are we going to spend the day? Like we were driving all day, we'd play a show, we'd make friends there, find a Florida crash on. We weren't like partiers. We would have a lot of fun meeting people. Remember when we played Super Happy Funland in Dallas or Houston?
That blocked out of my memory.
Wait, why?
We did play some shows that felt a little. Am I in danger? Like,
like in the crowd, or when you were the surrounding area of the club?
Like the venue, like there was this one venue that, and I was so grateful that anyone would give us a place to play in some of these states, but yeah, we
didn't have a wide reach, we had
nothing to offer.
We had nothing to offer. It was kind of like going back to the beginning. We're like, can we jump on stage with our instruments? So yeah, I mean, people took a chance on us to have us come play. But yeah, this one venue just had a lot of dolls.
A lot of dolls.
A lot of dolls. We were in the middle of Texas. I have no idea.
I think people were on acid.
Some substances were circulating, and not young, not us. Hitting Texas, a lot of interesting things happened to us.
And then we were watching Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Well, we probably shouldn't have been doing that. We liked horror movies, and we had a van breakdown, and we had it towed to a parking lot. So we had some things, but we had each other, and that was important. And I felt generally safe.
Yeah, and we always had a guy in the band.
I felt safe always
our protectors, but sometimes it was helpful, I guess.
It was helpful.
And I loved like when we had a phase where we played in Connecticut a lot, and I remember one time we went and played a show that night. Someone from the crowd let us stay at their house, and they had a whole party with all their friends to like come and just hang out with us, touring band in town. And then for some reason, we played the same venue the next night too. I guess they were like, oh, you guys want to play again? And then all the people from that party came, and it was like this huge fun.
Yeah.
That was such a good time. I don't know, that probably wasn't the same place, but there was another time we played in, maybe it was Massachusetts or New Hampshire, and we played at like a bar, and we had nowhere to stay, and they're like, okay, well, you can stay in the bar, but we have to lock you in.
Oh yeah, that was actually interesting. Yeah, because when we talk about tour life, we're not talking about even staying at a Holiday Inn. We're not even at that level. I remember sleeping in the van one night. I remember at this particular show Nina's talking about at this venue, I mean, it was a very big space. They locked us in. I mean, I was like bathing in the sink, after like a punk show, you're like, would I do it today? I mean, in a different stage of my life. But back then, you're just like, okay, there's water, there's some like cherry almond scented soap. I think we're good to go.
Yeah.
I'm fresh for tomorrow, like
Yeah.
let's do it.
Well, that's why I love being on the road. It's like you could just live like a heathen and it was just fun. There was no rules. You're like, yeah, I'm gonna bathe in this sink or whatever, just wash my hair in it, and you're just kind of like, this is the life on the road, man.
Life. I was drinking enough vitamin water to keep myself.
I know. I remember how hard it was being a vegetarian on tour because we
Oh
had
yeah,
like
we were both vegetarian too, and
a lot of like cheese sandwiches.
we ate a lot of a Taco Bell without.
Yeah, the 7-layer taco was the big
Yeah.
one for vegetarians.
Yeah.
That was like,
There
oh
for
wow, we're getting Taco Bell. Wow, what a
you
thing.
had to really save up.
We had to save up for that, but
I feel like we were
yeah,
eating
that's
like
hard
baked
to.
beans out of a can.
Yeah, that we were definitely roughing it in that sense.
Yeah.
Our diet consisting on like gushers and like whatever was the fruit snack of the time. We were all about that.
So why is there a 3-year, 4-year gap between the first record and the last one?
The next record was a full-length record. We were both in college. All of a sudden, doing that was important, though we were still playing shows. And really, just our second album that we had done, it was really a compilation of songs that we had recorded with other band members. There's a lot of different drummers on
A lot
that
of drummers
album.
on.
Pete, who was a drummer of ours in New Brunswick. Evan Taylor was on the record. He was one of our
Alex.
last drummers. Alex Ford maybe was
Mhm.
on the album. So it was kind of like a compilation of, I think we were trying to just like solidify our lineup and then
We
we
had
had a lot of
set.
songs recorded. So I think it
Yeah.
was Nina's idea, just we've got a lot of recordings already.
It
We
was
could put it all
yeah.
on an album, a
And
full
I kind
length.
of remember the mindset at the time, like we went years of like we were writing songs, we were playing a lot, but we had a lot of setbacks. We had a lot of like
Yeah.
kept losing drummers. That was a problem for years, rotating door of drummers. And
Mhm.
then, we were kind of like slowing down our playing as we were getting older and in college and studying abroad. And as we were starting to kind of fade out a little bit, I remember thinking like we have so many songs written and they're not recorded. Like they're going to be lost forever if we don't put them down. So we, as Shannon said, like we had recorded a couple songs here and there with Ryan Selleck. So we had a couple songs, and then we had one of them is like a live song from a show in New Hampshire, I think.
Oh wow.
And then we recorded some in like Evan's bedroom, Evan Taylor's house.
And Kyle Cadena, I
Yep.
think.
Oh yeah, no, yes, it
Was
was
at
at
Kyle's and
yeah,
Evan was producing a
that's
bit. And
great.
I think he played drums on that.
It was a real collage of different songs from different
Yeah.
times, and part of the reason, I mean, I was thinking like one day we might want to show this to our kids, like that we had this life and we had these songs. And I mean, that's where There Was a Time, My Darling is the name of the album, because I was kind of thinking like this is preservation, this is just for us to be able to
Yeah.
listen to the songs again so they wouldn't just be lost, because they really otherwise would have been, because we didn't.
Like sonic photographs,
Well,
Like
now that we're in technically back then, this would have been the future, and you've got 3 kids. Have you played this for them?
Yes, they've
You're like,
listened.
actually, no, shit.
Yeah.
that reminds me.
Um, Total street cred as a mom, like to have had a band, because when they were young, like now it's mortifying to them, but when they were young, like they'd have friends over and they'd be like, "Oh, here's a copy of my mom's CD," and like it was cool to them, and their friends would think it was cool, and they'd ask to put the CD on in the car for their friends. That was fun, and then they got to come to one of the reunion shows, the one in Jersey City. The kids were there. And Jess's kids, they did the sound check for us. So it was special, like getting to show them like this other version, that's like very different than like mom life. So yeah, they know it. Whenever I pick up my bass at home, one of my boys will run over and pick up an instrument, and yeah, we'll jam a little bit. And
What's the A Cheating Heart? I just saw this because looking through lyrics or the song titles. A Cheating Heart Lies Underground. What's that song about?
That's a ballad that I wrote after feeling very betrayed in a relationship.
The reason I wanted to bring that up is we were talking earlier about like lyrics and things like that, and I was like, oh, this feels like there's a story behind this.
Yeah, and like I said, I never name names, but I just remember a funny
One juicy one. There's one juicy influence in some of our
gosh.
songs.
Oh no,
We won't
we'll
say
talk about it later.
Oh,
But I remember this song again, like throughout my younger years, I think I was like, at the mercy of my own like hormonal fluctuations as like a teen to like young woman. And I feel like we played that song live once at like a radio show
it.
or a college show. And I just remember doing like an acoustic version of that and like laughing and crying while singing the song at the same time. I'm like, oh my God, I gotta get it together. But that song definitely brought up a lot of emotions for me. And it's one of my favorite songs on the album because it it was something I really connected to emotionally at the time that I recorded it and wrote it. Anytime there's a song that I feel like I really resonate with that, it it feels good to me as a songwriter. I feel like you want to strive for authenticity if you can, and that's one of those songs that I really do like on that
I
album.
listened to that song like after like years and years of not listening to it, and I like got such chills when you were singing like that last chorus. It's a powerful song.
what are the songs that came lyrically easier out of you if they were I just for me personally, I can't write a song unless I'm going through a shitty relationship, so some shitty breakup, and then it just flows out of me. But some people like to write happy songs because they're like that flows out. What flows out of you easily?
I guess like anytime you're hitting both extremes of like extreme betrayal and heartache, or, I remember when I wrote Sweet Everythings, that was a song that like it was about like young love, being like over the moon. So like anytime there was like an emotion that was so potent to tap into, that's when it came the easiest. Unfortunately, there's more in the catalog that has to do with feeling a little bit let down because I guess that just seemed like something that you could easily access. And even like if you're like let down like one time, like that's such a potent feeling. You can really go back to it if you want to. If you're looking for inspiration, that inspiration is like can be long lasting, and in that way. So it's not that there has to be like multiple occurrences of that. Those feelings can be really potent to channel. Yeah, whichever end of the spectrum is on. I never really wrote about like a mediocre day, like
For Bees in Winter.
that's for bees in winter. It was like I was playing soccer and
Yeah.
the trials and tribulations of being a teenager. There's so much material there. Even to this day, like when I'm writing music, I really try to just look at what's authentically coming up for me if I can. Which doesn't mean to say like I've definitely written songs that maybe I don't connect with as much, but I'm like, oh, a friend of mine has gone through that. That sounds really painful, like, but I can relate to that on some level. So
It was like it was interesting to me when people would make up a persona or a story that never happened, or they would write to a situation of a friend and they write for that. I was like, I just can't emotionally connect to make something come out of me musically for that.
no, you can't force that kind of thing.
And you can see and feel how real it is to you, like when you're on stage. It
That's
really, it's
true.
not just the words. It's like I always felt like you sang it like you were feeling that feeling every time you sang it. You were like connecting to that feeling.
Yeah.
Like it felt very real every time.
Well, it's funny because like you guys had such a fun show. Like Janet would literally be jumping up and down and running in place behind the keyboard, and Nina, you always had just this kind of like you had this like look on your face when you played, kind of like yeah, I'm fucking playing this bass, or I don't know, just like it's like yeah, we're doing this right now.
Yeah,
I
that
was
that
shy on
was
stage though.
great.
I was always kind of like self-conscious or I don't know. I mean, I guess once we were up there, it just felt like it was just us. But I feel like I jumped around and felt more free as I got older. Like
Yeah.
for the reunion show, I was like just so into it. It was just so like I really got lost in it, which was nice. But I feel like when I was younger, I was a little reserved
I feel
on
like your
stage.
fate. I don't know. Like I said, I think we when I had that second band, Arcade Academy, like we played a show with you guys in Brighton Bar. Yeah, and I feel like when that was pretty much I think the only time we got to play live with you guys. And but I feel like you're yeah, again just like I feel like you just had this face kind of like just this smile, this smirk of like fuck yeah, like we're up here.
I think being in a band, playing songs in a band context for me gave me a lot of confidence that I don't know if I would have necessarily had otherwise, to be honest. After Avery, I went on to do some solo work and it was very different. It was quite different how I felt on stage. So I'm very grateful for those early experiences because it did feel like we're doing it together. We're
Mhm.
Avery. It's like it's bigger than myself. And that gave me a lot of confidence, I think. And I was just like, Avery's already got it. False sense of
We thought
confidence.
we were so good.
We thought we were so good from the beginning when we were pulling people into parking lots. We're like, you got to check this out.
Wait till you hear this.
Wait till you hear this walker.
Nina, when you were at this time, like, were you doing bands on a budget?
Yeah.
So was that happening at the same time that you put out the last record?
Yeah, it probably was, or close to that. Yeah.
I
Did that
think,
help with? Oh, sorry, go on.
sorry, I'm remembering that we had a whole stock of postcards with Nina, Jess, and I on it with from bands on a
That
budget.
makes
Like
sense. Yeah,
we had
we
some
definitely had a lot of merch
promo
from.
promo stuff.
Yeah, that was a really convenient job to have. It's kind of like that was when I was working there, like when I got married and had kids, like that was kind of like a natural progression, like playing, I was playing less and then working more. So it was nice to like have that connection still to bands and to understand like, they needed something drop shipped on tour. Like, I understood it because I'd been there and I would write like blogs for the company of like how to book a tour yourself and stuff like that. So there was like crossover there. It was a fun job to have at that time.
The best bathrooms around the country to wash your hair in.
Yeah. Best smelling soap.
We exactly.
So how'd the band end?
It never really
Never
did.
really did. We're working on our next album. No, I think it was around the time I might have been ending college. It never really officially did. I think we just
Started
kind of
playing less and
yeah, we were playing less. We kind of got into like our own lives a bit and yeah, we never really had a conversation about it
yeah.
until now. That was good.
Like everyone always long well, like there was never like any kind of tension or wanting to break up because it wasn't working. It was just like
Yeah.
life, like we just kind of kept growing and we just got older and it was a hobby, so you
Yeah.
just get less time for passion projects as you get older sometimes and
Mm.
work and family. And when we were young, that was everything, and we
Yeah.
had that space for it to be everything. And when we got older, just we didn't have that same space, and that's all it was. Like it
Yeah.
just kind of slowly faded. And I only ever played music in Avery, and that's true to this day. Like I once we stopped playing music together, like that was it for me because I only ever played our songs. Like I don't know how to even play my instrument really.
She's not giving herself enough credit. Like the things we were doing and how Nina was doing like kind of like a full-time job while being like a high schooler or college, booking tours, things like that. And then like from the songwriting standpoint, it was a labor of love and to keep it going to the extent it was going. It just, and distance wise, I was also living in New York City. Nina was down the Jersey Shore, and just being able to keep it going at the force that it was. I think in a way it's like we've like preserved like a really nice period of time that
Yeah,
we had a really good run doing it. And I guess the only time we reconvened was in 2019 when we did those reunion shows and it was like old times again. It was like getting, like I say, like getting on a bicycle. It was really
yeah,
fun to relive that and like seeing Nina and her family and like Jess and her family and being able to like realize like after all these years like we still can partake in something special that meant so much to us at the time and that it's
it
still
felt very
there. And
special.
I mean, that was a really meaningful couple shows that we did.
Yeah, and it was different in a way that like we really were so lit up by the potential for the future and what when we were young,
Mhm.
like what this could be and what where this could lead us. And we were so passionate and driven. And I think doing it as an adult for when we did the reunion show, it was like it came from a different place. It wasn't like to go somewhere, it was like really just to enjoy that moment and
Yeah.
put us back into that place that was like such a happy, powerful place for us when we were young. Yeah, and to see everyone playing with all the bands that we used to go see and being up on stage with them and looking out into the crowd and seeing like a lot of familiar faces, but then also like friends and family from this next phase of life. It was really fun for people to see that part of us.
How did that show come about? Was that Joe? Didn't you put that on?
It booked
Mhm.
it. Joe's the best.
Yeah, that it came as a surprise to be asked to do something like that, just because it had been so long. Gosh, it had been 15
15.
plus years since we had been on stage or played the songs.
And
And
because Mike was in California and
yeah,
he only flew in the night before, so we were all just practicing to the
to the
CDs.
CDs.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow. So you guys didn't even get to practice?
we
One
did one
practice the night
rehearsal.
before.
Yeah,
He
rehearsal
got
and
off
Shit.
pre-shows.
he got
Yeah.
off the plane, met us at a rehearsal studio. We ran through the set. We were so much tighter than I thought we would be.
Yeah.
And then we played. We played 2 shows that weekend and it felt great. It felt like we didn't even stop playing. Like yeah, I was
Yeah.
I was surprised that we were as tight as we were.
That's pretty impressive to have to just be practicing on your own and then just show up like, all right, we have 24 hours to before we play in front of people.
I was confident we could do it. Once I put on the albums, and at first I was like, oh, I don't know how this is gonna go. But once I put on the albums, it just all flooded back to me. Like it was second nature. Now again, I'd have to like review, but I think it would also come back. It's stored there since we were so young when we were
Yeah.
playing those songs, and we played them so many times too. We did so
Yeah,
many
but
shows.
you still play music, so it's probably easier. It was really hard for me like to relearn them, and if I was trying to figure it out, I would have no idea where even to start. Like, I don't even know what key this is. But then what actually worked for me was if I stopped paying attention and I would be like like I would distract myself with something else, then like muscle memory would kick in and I would just start playing it. And it was like
Yeah.
the weirdest thing because when I was trying to remember, I couldn't. But if I was talking to one of my kids or something, then and I'd have the song on, suddenly I'd look down and I'm just like playing the bass line from all those years ago.
Yeah.
So that was a weird experience, but it was really fun like getting to relearn them because I really did have to like build up the muscles and the calluses again. So I think if we played another show, I would need a lot of notice to scratch again.
Yeah.
Sometimes when people, especially when it's two people that I'm going to interview, they'll get together and kind of have side conversations to be like, I don't remember anything. And they'll be like, oh, remember this, remember this. Did you guys do that at all? And if so, was there a story that you're like, we really want to tell this story if that happens?
I mean, what we were talking about was like our own personal experience with like being a woman in a male dominated scene was like such a big theme for us and we didn't want to talk about it too much because we want to be fun, we want to just relive all the memories all the other bands, but that is something that was like really prominent for us and that we kind of talk about together because we both had
Hmm.
that was like a pretty
Yeah.
prominent part of the experience. But
I think the reason I didn't bring that up is that I've talked to, this is definitely, if anyone listening, I think at the beginning people were like, talking to a lot of guys just because I grew up listening to a lot of guy bands. So it's just kind of just the way it worked. But I never want to get, when I have like a female guest, to bring that up just because I feel like it's so on the nose. I usually stay away from that, but if you want to bring that up, then the floor is yours.
I mean, I feel like
Yeah.
we kind of interjected
Touched on that. Mhm.
some of the stories. I didn't want that to be like that's all we are is like we were a girl band or because we
Right.
That's why I didn't want to bring it up. I said I don't want it to just be like that.
yeah
Yeah, when I think about Avery, I mean, we are the product of the environment of the time, and I have to attribute a lot of the inspiration to the male-dominated like culture, the bands that we were listening to,
Mhm.
and then our life experience. I mean, I think Nina and I touched on about, having that gendered balance or surrounding like being performers in that world and what that meant and how we tried to navigate that. But I think these conversations are important. So I would never shy away from having them as much as I agree with Nina. Sometimes it's, you want to focus on the glory days, all like roses. But the reality was that we had a very specific life experience based on being women in that world.
yeah
And the world today, still these are important conversations to have.
yeah, and it is really nice to see though like how I mean there's still a lot further we need to go with it, but it's so much more inclusive now, like it wouldn't be weird. It's not weird seeing women in bands now, like seeing a bass player or front woman. Like it's so much more the norm now than it was for us. And it's nice to see that.
Yeah, it's good to see that and
Yeah.
to see that growing in a positive direction. But yeah,
Yeah.
I think it's important for women to have the conversation. So I'm really grateful to be on this podcast with Nina here and to like, if anyone is out there listening, like it's so nice to connect and like just remember this time because
Yeah.
it was a very specific and special part of our lives.
Yeah, and also there were like a couple, like there were a handful of other women in bands at that time. Like it was
Hmm.
definitely not the norm, but maybe they'll hear this and be like, yeah, that was totally my experience too.
Yeah.
Someone loading in, told me
Hmm.
I had to leave because they didn't believe I was a band. And, I'm sure that's happened to everyone.
Yeah. But in terms of like women going on to like we haven't like really teamed up so much with the other women in the scene. So it would be nice to reconnect also and hear about other people's experiences.
But overall, I think we're so lucky to be a part of this
Hmm.
whole experience. Our experience may have been just a little bit different, being kind of outsiders in some ways, but it was such a beautiful experience. It really shaped who we are, I think, at such a
Hmm.
formidable age. And overall, everyone was really good to us. And we did feel like we belonged in a lot of ways.
Yeah, absolutely.
Good. Yeah, I'm just glad because hope there was less smaller incidents like them saying, "Oh, you carrying your boyfriend's drums in." If that was happening all the time, I'd been like, "Ugh."
I would say that wasn't the majority, fortunately, but there were
Yeah, those were
things
just
like that. There were
little
just like
moments.
little
But I
moments.
think it was also like we were told by the owner of a record label we were really interested in signing, like, oh, I don't sign girls. It's too much of a liability for me. Or, like things
Things
that were
like that.
bigger,
Yeah.
or we always were
Bigger
like
hurdles.
the opener of shows, even if we brought a lot more people. Like I think that
Hmm.
there
Hmm.
there are bigger, more nuanced ways that it impacted us, like beyond the little, anecdotal, like
Yeah.
with the loading in and stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. Just more like systematic things,
Yeah.
hurdles that we were like, oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
It
We
wasn't
got
always overt, it
Yeah.
was.
I'm guessing the label was just kidding. I'll leave that out.
But yeah, I mean, I think I wouldn't do anything differently. I think because there was less representation, it made it that much more important. Honestly, like I think that was a huge motivator for myself. It just made it that much more important to show up at the show despite whatever it was that we felt like challenged by, whatever.
But I do still wonder, like, if things would have ended up differently for us, if we would have been more successful. And I don't mean like, oh, we were so good, but we were so hardworking. Like, we were so dedicated. Every day of our lives for so many years, almost a
Hmm.
decade, was
Hmm.
spent booking shows and getting out there. And we were going up to
Yeah.
people with flyers. Like, we really worked hard to try to like get somewhere.
Yeah.
And there were a lot of opportunities that did feel like it was related to our gender that I feel like we kind of missed out on. And it makes me wonder, but yeah, other than that, I wouldn't change anything.
Yeah. Other than that, and having Nina by my side and Jess
Yeah.
too, it felt really important to be out there making music and hopefully singing songs, playing songs that people could relate to. I think that was
Yeah,
the
and the
number
dream
one
is that
thing.
like young girls would see us playing the same way we saw Christina playing and saying, "Oh, that could be me."
Yeah, and that did happen a few
Yeah.
times, and it really reminded us of like
Yeah, it was
why
really
we're
a nice
doing this,
moment.
why we put in so much time into this project.
All right, well, I'm going to wrap us up with two questions. Before I ask the last one, what would you like to plug? It could be about you, it could be about a friend or a cause, it could be about all of them.
Well,
Go ahead.
I don't
You
know.
go.
This is just going to sound self-indulgent,
No, get
but
get
I've got
into
a
it.
DJ night coming up in a couple weeks.
I mean, this is coming out this Friday, so this is good timing.
All right. Well, if anyone's around in Brooklyn on December 14th, I'm going to be doing a DJ set for a show at Wonderville in Brooklyn, in New York. If you guys are around, I've been sharing my vinyl collection lately. So that's like given me a whole new joy, a renewed joy to be sharing music in a different way. So I'm going to be doing an all vinyl DJ set. And there's two other bands on the bill, Lost Boy and the Sleepies.
And I would say if anyone's thinking about doing any more upcoming reunion shows to keep us in mind because I think it would be fun
Yeah.
to play again.
Yeah, we like the opportunity to be on stage again. And I'm like a very nostalgia heavy person. I don't know. I really love nostalgia and those moments just of reuniting and being together with people who lived in that same scene, that feels really good.
Yeah.
So that'd be fun to do.
I want to point something out. So, because I'm on your Instagram now looking at the flyer for that show. Do you want to point out it's 2:30 p.m. to 6 p.m., which to me is even more of a selling point?
Well, I'm an older person these days. I'm older than I was.
No, but like I see that and I'm like, oh, that's awesome. And it's like, yeah, this starts at 8 o'clock. I'm like, yeah, peace.
No, it's a Sunday night. We're gonna have you in bed by like 8. So I love doing like matinee shows if that ever be, okay, like we're
Hell yeah.
the older generation. So anything like that. So I mean I still play shows at night sometimes as a solo artist. I've been doing some late night DJ stuff, not much, but I love doing matinees. So yeah, if you guys are around on a Sunday afternoon, I've even been working on like visuals, not create, not from scratch, but I'm trying to make it a really fun, multi-sensory, interactive,
That's
fun. I play a lot of music from the 60s and 70s, like soul and disco and like some surf rock music. So it should be a really fun time. So and and it's like the perfect window to fight the Sunday scaries, You can get back and in bed by a reasonable time.
She'll also be handing out mushrooms, so you guys will enjoy yourselves.
That's your plug. Okay.
Wait, I also do want to point out too, Nina, do you still have your book for sale? Was it Kids Are Kind?
Yeah, that's the publishing company. The book's called Sunshine Elementary. I think it's still on Amazon, probably. Wasn't available in Target for a little bit, but I
Nice.
think it still is.
Yeah, I was like, I remember that.
Good memory.
What was it? How long ago was that? Was that 10 years ago?
It was actually the book came out the day that we had our show. Like I got the first copy in my hands the day that we had our
Oh,
show.
wow. Like
The
that is
greatest day of
cool.
my life.
Yeah, that
Okay.
is really good. Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
That's
so it was
so
right before COVID.
Last question. What scene ethics do you hold on to this day?
Oh, I think the biggest thing is that like the scene taught me how capable I am, and even if I don't know anything about the thing I want to do, it like instilled this feeling of like everything's figure outable. You just say, okay, I'm just gonna figure it out, and you just go for it. And it made me like to this day, like I really still carry that where I feel like, oh, I want to write a book. I want to, whatever it is, like okay, I'll just figure out how to do it. And, like even when I wrote the book and published it, like it was a total, took it right out of the scene. Like, all right, I'm just going to start, instead of an indie label, I'm going to start an indie publisher, um, and just, you know, I feel like I really still have that, like, can do, we're capable of anything kind of attitude from the scene.
Yeah, that's nice. Yeah, I think for me, I just feel really grateful to have been surrounded by such a community and just thinking about how important community is. Like I remember at the time when I was young, people would be writing zines about like being straight edge or vegetarian or vegan. And like in my household, like no one was vegetarian. So like how much like a community can give you a sense of belonging and how important that is to just carry that mentality into your life, whatever community you become a part of, these days, like I have some friends in the music community in Brooklyn but even just like my little neighborhood, like that sense of belonging is just so important to becoming the person that you are. And like,
We were so lucky
yeah,
to
we were
have that.
lucky, so lucky to have my friends, my band, to have Nina, and just to be able to, explore your life and like feel supported by the people around you. So that's an important thing that I think we got from the New
Yeah,
Jersey scene, that's
absolutely.
really such a special part of our lives.